Good evening, I'm Lindsay Brown. This is Nightcast. Over the past several months, we've told you about a rise in violence in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Since the death of George Floyd in May, we've seen countless protests calling for justice, for police reform, calling for change. Some of these protests happened outside the homes of local elected officials, and they're becoming more frequent. In some cases, the tactics are escalating into threats and intimidation. That word comes from several former and current elected officials who tell our Jay Coles they're concerned these private property protests will eventually become violent.
This just happened at the condo of Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey Saturday. Photos posted to social media show protesters climbing a stairwell leading to Mayor Frey's home as his wife tries to stop them from hanging a banner. Inside, the couple's newborn daughter.
Some folks want to push the envelope.
It's a situation the former Hennepin County Sheriff understands well. Rich Stanek tells me his home was targeted back in 2017. What happened?
A series of different events. Woke up one morning, took the dog out for a walk, and found several bullet holes in the side of my house. Unnerving at best, unnerving for my family, for my neighbors.
3 bullet holes into the side of your house. Fortunately, no one injured, but that's got to leave some kind of a mental scar, right? An emotional scar?
Well, I think it leaves a little bit of both. I mean, you don't forget something like that.
I understand that.
In addition to Mayor Frey, since May, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman, Minneapolis City Council President Lisa Bender, and Minneapolis Police Federation President Bob Kroll all had protests outside their homes with vandalism and, in some cases, physical threats.
I've never had a protest like this here before today.
Minneapolis City Council member Linea Palmisano says her home was damaged by protesters this summer as well.
I feel that that goes way beyond peaceful protest. I feel that coming and lurking around someone's yard, defacing their property, is about intimidation and bullying, and frankly, it's quite unnerving.
And they vandalized your place.
Yeah.
Do you worry at all that it could go too far to that next step where somebody gets hurt?
We've seen that happen, right, in other places in our country.
Do you think, in your experience as a professional law enforcement officer, that unfortunately possibly could get to the point where somebody does get hurt pretty bad here?
I do. I think at some point it's going to lead to just that again. You know, you're talking about human nature, and the one thing that's really unpredictable is human nature.
Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Stanek and Palmisano tell me all of this is already shaping the future of politics.
Have you seen any chilling effect on potential candidates for public office with this stuff?
Yeah, you know, I've talked to a number of candidates for local, state elected office, and they all say the same thing. Why the heck would I want to get involved running for office? Sure, I believe it's a good thing to do, and I'm a good citizen, but why do I want people coming out to my house? Why do I want them camping out on my front lawn? Why do I want the harassment? I've got other things to do, better things to do.
A lot of these actions have become very public. A lot of these actions make people concerned about what they would be signing up for and running for public office because they feel that their family becomes a target as well. And that's not fair.
And Palmisano tells me Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman used to live in her ward, but she says he decided to move to another location because the protesters had vandalized his home several times. Palmisano says members of the Minneapolis Charter Commission, which is a volunteer position, were also targeted recently by the protesters. Lindsay?
And Jay, with everything going on, it makes you wonder, is there any going back? Do Palmisano and Stanek say that they have a take on what it could take from these to keep these private protests on private property from happening?
Yeah, you know, it's a really tough thing to do, Lindsay. I did talk to them about it. And, you know, first of all, they're usually spontaneous protests, and getting out in front of that with law enforcement can be difficult because you don't know when they're happening. They both said that if leaders of the protest groups, the people inside these smaller groups, would start talking to people, telling them, hey, it's not okay to go onto the private property and damage it, to threaten the people. It has to kind of come from within to change the discourse and get it back to something more civil. Like if they stood in the street and protested without the threats and the vandalism, that would be okay. So
public property, different situation.
Completely different, yeah.
And like Stanek said, it's just unpredictable.
It is, and right now, with the election approaching and what's going to happen down the road with trials, they don't expect it to stop anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Right, and that's a week from now, so
yeah,
we're all watching. Jay, thank you so much.
You bet.